Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, coming to you live from Lagos. A reminder of our major stories. Over 20 farmers are killed following a clash between thieves and Fulanis in Dan Ancha in Taraba State, northeast of Nigeria. The German government extends its support for Nigeria's fight against terror till the year 2020. And Channels Television is Station of the Year for a record 11 times. And rebels burned several buses meant to convey the sick and injured from government-held villages in Syria's Idlib province. Do remember that all our top stories can be found on our website, is channelstv.com, and on youtube.com/channelsweb. Log on to m.channelstv.com to view us live on your mobile device. You can also download the Channels TV app for Android, iOS and Windows phones from their respective stores. Having the Channels TV and Channels 24 app will give you access to news and updates. You can also have the eyewitness feature, so you too can be part of the news. Just install the app, then tap and swipe to reveal the eyewitness menu and follow the instructions to share those pictures, videos or news of happenings around you. And here are indeed some of the pictures that you sent to our eyewitness portal. We begin with this photo, which shows the aftermath of a road accident along the Auchi-Urumi highway. We can see crates which fell on this truck and broken bottles. Our eyewitness reporter calls on the motorists to adhere to speed limits. And similar to that is this photo taken along the Oroshoki axis of the third mainland bridge in Lagos. We can see a vehicle turned over on its side. Our eyewitness reporter commends traffic regulators for their prompt response. Our next photo was sent in from Lekki-Egbe Expressway. It shows these young men sitting dangerously on this moving truck. Our eyewitness reporter wants relevant authorities to arrest those involved in such acts. And finally, is this photo showing an overloaded truck traveling along the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. Our eyewitness reporter calls on state authorities to arrest the drivers of such trucks. We do sincerely thank you for sending in those pictures, as we ask that you keep them coming. 1 week after rounding up its activities marking the station's 21st anniversary celebrations, Channels Television has emerged the winner of the NMMA TV Station of the Year for a record 11 times. At the award ceremony, which took place in Lagos tonight, Channels TV beat other contenders in that category to emerge the winner again. The station had previously won the award in the year 2000, 2001, 2003 and 2004. The station also won the award in the year 2008, 2010, 2012, 2013, 2014 and 2015. At this year's award, Channels Television's news anchor Amarachi Ubani also won in the Newscaster of the Year category. Channels Television, which began broadcast in 1995, has entrenched itself into the hearts of its viewers through its dedicated news broadcast and quality programmings. Channels Television has also entered into strategic international alliances aimed at bringing its programs to every part of the world. Once again, it's congratulations to Channels Television. And as promised, on the issue of cultism, I'm being joined on the news at 10 to discuss the activities of cultists in Nigeria today by a lecturer from the Department of Business Administration, University of Lagos. He's also a youth activist. I want to thank you so much indeed for coming on the news at 10 at this time. Indeed, he is Mr. Kenneth Ikenwa. Many thanks indeed for coming.
Thanks, Gimba.
The term cultism is more often than none associated to something that is really bad and evil. Is that what it is?
Basically, I don't think that's what it is. I think the problem even begins with the inability to give it a proper definition. We should look at cultism from two dimensions. One, it's a social response. Two, it's also an economic response. When cultism and cultists manifest themselves as gangsters, it's a kind of social response. Now, but when they manifest themselves trying to survive, it's a kind of survival strategy. There seems to be a disconnect between what I have, what I can get, and what society is offering me. So when there's a social strain, you find people resorting to cultism to try to survive, to try to get access to resources that are not there. So if we give it the proper definition, we can address the problem. At first, we see it as a social response, and secondly, it's also an economic response. Gangsterism, a couple of youths coming together, youthful exuberance, youthful restivism, that's fine. From the economic perspective, you see people wanting to be a part of the country, hoping and feeling that I've gotten to school, I'm in society, there's so many people out there that are having so much society, I don't have anything, how do I fight back? Most of them resort to cultism. So that should be an appropriate, those should be appropriate dimensions for looking at the subject matter cultism.
There are concerns, though, from two states, as a matter of fact, Delta State and Kwara State, and seeing the governors looking at this as a very troubling situation, and they're really concerned about it. How has this affected the understanding of what cultism is, especially when you get to schools, university, tertiary institutions, and then you have all these clashes between cult members? How do we address this?
Fine. Cultism, like I said, we should just start from the point of view that it's a response. And there are certain variables that are responsible for why we have this as a major problem in our society. One, the values in our society is eroded, all right? I grew up in school, in primary school, you listen to people talk about moral education, civic education, those things are gone. So we don't even know what the right values are. A young boy comes into school, he wants to write a big guy. Those are loss of values. Then two, you find out that the unemployment rate itself, it exacerbates the problem of cultism. When people are not sure, all right, that they're going to get this, if they have this resource, if they have this level of education, then they begin to get identified with people that are promising them much. So that's one. Then, can I go on? Then you also have the problem of cultural dissonance and diffusion. There's so much that has been diffused into the Nigerian culture, and there's so much that we don't even teach the young ones coming up anymore. So there seems to be a problem, all right? If this is the culture, if this is what I'm seeing on TV vis-a-vis what my parents have taught me, vis-a-vis what society is talking about, there would be a dissonance. Then there's also the absence, all right, of institutional emphasis. The institutions in the country have failed. You look at the family institution, you look at the educational institutions. When these institutions have failed, they have become bankrupt.
So how do we reverse the trend?
We must go back to the basics. We should start by teaching children in primary school the values of our society. We should start by teaching them going back to civic education, going back to moral education, going back to moral instructions. That's one. Then secondly, the culture. We must emphasize a culture of hard work, a culture of uprightness, a culture of focus. You don't promise people things that you can't deliver. And thirdly, the institutions must be rejigged. If the family is not doing well, if the educational institution is not doing well, the government should be able to pay attention to that. Then the issue of unemployment is a macroeconomic issue. You find out that if the unemployment rate can go down and the underemployment rate can go down in Nigeria, there is a likelihood, I'm hypothesizing now, there is a likelihood that the incidence of cultism could be abated.
Interesting. Many thanks indeed for talking to us, Mr. Kenneth Ikenwa, a lecturer from the Department of Business Administration, University of Lagos, for talking to us on this very topical issue. Many thanks indeed.
Thanks for having me on.
It's not news that 70% of the world's cocoa comes from West and Central Africa, but rising demand for cocoa products such as chocolate is surpassing supply from Africa's producers, leading to revenue shortages. At an interactive session in Ibadan, the Oyo State capital, cocoa growers, government officials and other stakeholders from within and outside the region brainstormed on the need to boost cocoa production in the region. In our special report, we take a look at efforts to increase the production of cocoa in Africa.
Soaring cocoa prices in the international market and increasing demand for cocoa products, mostly chocolate and cosmetics, should mean more investment opportunities, but declining supply from West Africa's producing countries due to drop in production is putting pressure on farmers due to revenue shortages. Despite efforts by Nigeria, the world's fourth largest producer of cocoa, to increase yield, production declined by 5.2% in 2016. It also happened in Ghana, as well as the world leading producer Ivory Coast, which are also experiencing lower yield. This worrying trend is what stakeholders from the cocoa value chain in West and Central Africa seek to address here at the Cocoa House in Ibadan, Oyo State.
Cocoa consumption has attained an enormous importance in the world. Recent scientific proofs of the health benefits of cocoa consumption is pushing chocolate consumption to a peak globally. Meanwhile, there are fears that cocoa supplies will not be sufficient to meet the demand in the near future.
The region's deficiency gap stems from a number of threats to cocoa production, including aging trees and farmers, bad weather, and archaic methods of cultivation. Participants here highlight necessary steps to scale up production.
We must work to ensure that our region's cocoa remains competitive alongside other cash crops such as coffee, rubber, oil palm. And to do this, we need better propagation technologies and improved varieties capable of withstanding today's threats and tomorrow's threats.
We therefore welcome engagement and partnership from other stakeholders, institutions, governments and policy makers for support and investment that we expand the granting of cocoa research and further revolutionalize the cocoa sector in the region.
Prominent traditional monarch and advocate of cocoa revival, Oba Adeyeye Enito Ogusi, the traditional ruler of Ife, encourages stronger integration and better participation of Africa's producing countries in global pricing.
A region producing almost 70%, that's distinction, 7 over 10, and you don't have a say on the price. The price has been determined in New York Stock Exchange and London Stock Exchange. I don't think it's morally fair. We should look beyond Nigeria, and we are not that many, like about 5 producing countries in tropical Africa. We should work as one big happy family to try and correct this injustice.
When the news at 10 returns, Art Review tonight takes a look at the ex-Lagos Fair, which held art enthusiasts spellbound for days in Lagos. Join us again.